You know, it's crazy how many people are using those AI language learning apps these days.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's millions every single day.
Yeah.
Technology's really changed how we learn languages, huh? I mean, think about it.
It really has.
Like, remember those old language tapes we used to have?
Oh, absolutely. They're like ancient history now.
Right. So today we're diving into this whole idea of like getting that native-like pronunciation, which can be really tricky.
Yeah.
We've got this essay that makes a really interesting argument.
Okay.
It says that technology can be like a total game changer,
Yeah.
but it has to be used along with understanding the culture.
Yeah.
And actually talking with real people.
Of course. The human element is so important.
Yeah, for sure. So this essay really dives into the benefits of like, why even try to sound like a native speaker?
All right.
And it's not just about sounding fancy or anything.
Well, not just about that, no.
It can actually open up a lot of doors for you socially and in your career too.
It really can. It can impact both your social and professional life.
Definitely. Like imagine trying to deal with customer service in a country where you don't really speak the language.
I see what you mean.
Or think about closing a business deal in a totally different country.
Yeah.
Being able to pronounce things clearly could make a huge difference in those situations.
Absolutely. Clear pronunciation can be crucial in those situations.
Totally.
Right.
But this essay also makes a really important point.
Okay.
Accents by themselves aren't necessarily barriers.
Yeah.
As long as you can speak clearly enough to be understood.
Exactly.
It's more about being understood than getting rid of your accent entirely.
Right. It's about effective communication.
And the essay celebrates that, the diversity of all the different English speakers we have around the world.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it is. So, okay, let's talk about technology and like how it fits into all of this.
Okay, yeah.
The essay goes into some pretty cool tools, like speech recognition apps, AI tutors, and even VR experiences.
It's amazing how technology is changing the landscape of language learning.
Yeah, it is. What really struck me was
Yeah.
how accessible and personalized these tools are becoming.
They really are.
Like, think about speech recognition apps for a second.
Okay.
Imagine getting instant feedback on your pronunciation as you're speaking.
Wow.
And it's like showing you exactly where you need to adjust.
That would be so helpful.
Right. Especially for people who can't take traditional language classes.
Yeah.
Or don't have access to native speakers in their community.
Absolutely. These tools can be game changers for those learners.
Totally. It's like having a pronunciation coach in your pocket 24/7.
Exactly. Available whenever you need it.
But this essay doesn't just sing the praises of technology,
Right. It delves into the limitations, too.
Yeah, it brings up some really important downsides, too. Like, one thing it highlights is this.
Yeah.
As amazing as AI is getting, it's still struggling with cultural context.
Absolutely.
And the way emotions shape how we speak.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Like, it's just not human,
It's lacking that human element, that nuanced understanding.
Exactly.
Right.
So it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
if we rely too much on technology, could it actually lead us to interacting less with native speakers?
That's a valid concern.
Right. Because if an app is doing all the work for you,
Yeah.
it might be tempting to just skip those real-life conversations.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
It could create a sort of dependency.
And the essay actually backs that up with some pretty compelling research.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It highlights how important real-life interaction and immersion are for really mastering pronunciation.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You need that real-world exposure.
Yeah. And it even includes some case studies
Oh, wow.
of language learners who made huge strides just by having regular conversations with native speakers.
That's really encouraging.
It is. So it seems like finding that balance between those tech tools and real human connection
Yeah.
is really the key. It's not about replacing one with the other.
Right.
It's about figuring out how they can work together.
It's about finding the synergy between the two.
Exactly. And this essay also touches on some really interesting predictions about the future of language learning.
Oh, that's always fascinating. What does it say?
Well, what's really cool is this idea of AI platforms that go way beyond
Okay.
just recognizing and correcting pronunciation.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if they could actually understand cultural nuances
Wow.
and even how emotions impact the way we speak.
That would be revolutionary. What would that even look like?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, the essay suggests that future AI tutors could analyze not only the words you're saying, but also your tone of voice,
Okay.
your pace,
Uh-huh.
even subtle pauses,
Wow.
It could even give you feedback on how your delivery might be perceived in different cultural contexts.
That's incredible. So it would be like having a cultural coach as well as a language tutor.
That's exactly it. It would be a game changer, especially for learning a language where subtle cues and etiquette are really important.
Absolutely. That's fascinating.
It is. And think about the potential for personalized learning.
Yeah.
AI could figure out your learning style,
Okay.
like whether you're visual, auditory, kinesthetic,
Yeah.
and then tailor the lessons just for you.
Wow. That level of personalization would be amazing.
Right? It could even create custom scenarios based on like your interests and goals.
That's mind-blowing. It would be like having a learning experience designed specifically for you.
Exactly. AI could become this incredibly intuitive companion guiding you through all the nuances of language and culture.
That's a really exciting prospect.
It is. And the essay also talks about how this could democratize access to quality language education for people all over the world.
That's what I love about the potential of technology.
Yeah, me too. It's not just about learning a new language.
It's about so much more than that.
It's about breaking down barriers and connecting with people on a deeper level.
Exactly. It's about building bridges and fostering understanding.
And I think that's what's so inspiring about this whole topic.
I agree.
It's not just about memorizing vocabulary or grammar rules.
It's about communication and connection.
Right. It's about seeing the world through a different lens.
And experiencing different cultures.
So we've talked about the potential of technology
Yeah.
and the importance of human interaction.
It's about finding that balance.
But what about the specific tools mentioned in the essay?
Okay, which ones are you curious about?
I'm really intrigued by those speech recognition apps,
Oh, yeah, they're pretty amazing.
like ELSA Speak
Hmm.
and even Google AI.
Right.
They're using these super sophisticated algorithms
Mhm.
to analyze your speech and tell you what to work on.
It's like having a virtual pronunciation coach right there in your pocket.
Exactly. So you mentioned Google AI. Can you give an example of how that actually works?
Sure. So, like, say you're learning Spanish
Okay.
and you're struggling with that rolled R sound.
Yeah. Classic.
Right. You could use Google's speech recognition tool to practice saying words with that sound.
Uh-huh.
The AI would listen to you and analyze how you're saying it,
Got it.
and then give you feedback on how to improve.
So it's not just telling you if you're right or wrong.
No, it's not just that.
It's actually teaching you how to make the sound correctly.
Exactly. It's like having a personalized tutor that focuses on your specific needs and challenges.
That's really cool. And what about those AI tutors like Duolingo and Rosetta Stone?
Oh, those are great too.
I've used Duolingo a bit and I was impressed by how interactive it is.
Yeah, they use gamification to make learning more fun and engaging.
Yeah, it felt more like a game than a lesson.
That's the idea. It keeps you coming back for more.
And these AI tutors are getting smarter all the time.
Oh, definitely. They use machine learning to adapt to your progress and learning style.
So it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all. They can analyze your strengths and weaknesses and tailor the lessons accordingly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So for example,
Yeah.
if you're a visual learner,
Mm-hmm.
it might use more images and videos.
Right. And if you're more auditory, it might focus on listening exercises and pronunciation practice.
Wow. It seems like AI is taking personalization to a whole new level.
It really is. But as we discussed earlier, technology does have its limitations.
Of course. It's not a magic solution.
Right. No matter how advanced AI becomes, it can never fully replicate the richness and complexity of human interaction.
And that's why the essay stresses the importance of finding ways to combine technology with real-life conversations and cultural immersion.
Absolutely. You need both to truly master a language.
Think about it like learning to play an instrument.
Okay.
You can practice scales and technique all day long.
Yeah.
But until you actually play music with other people,
Right.
you're not really experiencing the full joy and potential of music.
That's a great analogy. Language is similar.
It's about so much more than just getting the words right.
It's about communication, connection, and understanding.
Exactly. It's about experiencing the world through a different lens.
And broadening your horizons.
So how do we find that balance?
Yeah, that's the key question.
How do we use the power of technology without losing sight of how important human interaction and cultural immersion are?
It's about finding that sweet spot where they complement each other.
Right. And the essay actually mentions some exciting developments that are happening right now.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, one area that's showing a lot of promise is virtual reality.
VR. That's interesting.
It offers this incredible opportunity to simulate real-life interactions,
Okay.
but in a safe and controlled environment.
I can see how that would be Helpful?
Right, especially for someone who might be nervous about practicing with native speakers in person.
Yeah, it could be less intimidating.
Imagine being able to have a conversation with a virtual native speaker.
Wow.
Where you can practice your pronunciation vocabulary, even cultural etiquette, all without the pressure of a real-life interaction.
That's a great idea.
I can already see myself ordering food in a virtual Parisian cafe.
That would be fun.
Or asking for directions in a bustling marketplace in Tokyo.
It sounds like a great way to practice.
And as the technology gets better, the experiences are going to become even more realistic and engaging.
It's amazing to think about the possibilities.
I'm excited to see where VR goes in the future of language learning.
Me too. It has so much potential.
It really does.
Yeah.
It could be a game changer in terms of bridging the gap between technology and human interaction.
I agree. It's an exciting development.
So it seems like we're at this really exciting point in language learning.
Yeah. Things are changing rapidly.
Technology is giving us all these incredible tools, but it's also reminding us that human connection is still so important.
Absolutely. It's about finding that synergy between the two.
Exactly. And that's what will truly unlock the power of language.
Well said.
So we've talked about the potential of technology,
Yeah.
the importance of human interaction, and even gotten a glimpse into the future.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
Yeah.
But there's still so much more to explore.
Definitely. There's always more to learn.
So join us for part 2 of our deep dives,
We'll be back with more insights and discussions.
where we'll delve deeper into the world of language learning and technology.
See you there. Yeah, it really feels like we're on the brink of something big, you know?
Totally. But even with all this talk about the future, this essay really stresses that we can't forget about what we can do right now.
You're right. We need to focus on the present, too.
It's all about finding ways to integrate technology with real-world interactions and cultural immersion,
Right.
like today.
Absolutely. It's not just about waiting for some future tech to solve everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some things people can actually do right now?
Well, besides using those apps and AI tutors,
Yeah.
the essay mentions a few strategies. One that really stood out to me was joining a language exchange program.
Oh, yeah. Like where you connect with a native speaker.
Exactly.
And you kind of help each other out.
You could spend like 30 minutes speaking in English, helping your partner practice, and then 30 minutes speaking in their native language.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's like built-in accountability.
Right.
And you're getting real-life conversation practice.
Exactly. And it's not just about language practice either.
Oh, yeah. What else?
You're also connecting with someone from another culture.
That's so cool.
Learning about their perspective, their experiences. It's so much richer than just staring at a screen.
I bet it leads to some pretty interesting conversations.
Absolutely. And you might even make a new friend along the way.
That's awesome. So language exchange programs, definitely something to check out.
Definitely.
What else does the essay suggest?
It also talks about immersing yourself in the culture as much as possible.
So even if you can't travel to the country,
Yeah.
you can still experience the culture at home.
Exactly. You could watch movies and TV shows in the language you're learning.
Okay.
Listen to music. Try cooking traditional dishes. Even attend cultural events or meetups.
I remember when I was learning Italian, I got super into Italian cinema.
Oh, cool.
I watched everything, Fellini films, modern comedies. It really helped me get a feel for the language.
That's a perfect example. And think about all the online resources now.
Yeah, there's so much out there.
Podcasts, YouTube channels, online communities. It's amazing.
It can be a little overwhelming, honestly.
I know what you mean, but it's a good problem to have.
It is. It's all about being proactive
Yeah.
and seeking out those opportunities.
Right. You have to make the effort.
I think what I'm realizing is that language learning isn't just about memorizing words and grammar rules.
It's so much more than that.
It's about embracing the culture, connecting with people, and having fun with it.
You got it. It should be enjoyable.
And it's okay to make mistakes along the way.
Of course, mistakes are part of the process.
You're going to stumble and fumble through conversations. That's how we learn.
Exactly. Embrace those moments of imperfection.
They often lead to the biggest breakthroughs.
I agree. So we've talked about the benefits of sounding like a native speaker, the potential of technology, the importance of human interaction and cultural immersion.
Right. But how does all of this actually play out in the real world?
That's a good question.
Are there any examples of people or organizations that are doing this well?
Like using technology in a way that enhances the human element of language learning.
Exactly.
Yeah, the essay does mention a few interesting examples.
Oh, cool. Like what?
One that comes to mind is this program they're piloting in some schools.
Okay.
It combines AI-powered language learning software with regular virtual exchanges with students in other countries.
So the students use technology to learn the basics.
Yeah.
But then they actually get to practice with real people.
Exactly. They use AI tutors for pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and then they have weekly video calls with students in the country where that language is spoken.
That's amazing. It's like a blended approach.
Right? Combining the best of both worlds.
I bet that's super motivating for the students.
I think so. They're not just learning for a test, you know?
Yeah, they're learning to connect with real people and build friendships.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And the early results are really promising.
That's great.
The students are improving their language skills and their cultural understanding.
It sounds like a model for the future of language education.
It could be. It's a step in the right direction, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these innovative programs popping up in schools.
Yeah.
What about outside of traditional education?
Like in the real world?
Yeah, are there examples of how this blended approach is being used there?
Absolutely. Think about the business world.
Yeah.
Lots of companies are now using a mix of AI-powered language platforms and cultural sensitivity training to prepare their employees for global assignments.
That makes sense. Being able to communicate across cultures is so important these days.
It's essential. And companies are realizing that investing in their employees' language skills and cultural awareness is good for business.
Right.
And it's also a way to build understanding and empathy.
So it's not just about making money.
It's about more than that.
It's about connecting with people on a deeper level.
Exactly. It's about building bridges.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
What's that?
It seems like the best approaches to language learning are the ones that embrace both technology and human connection.
I think you're right. It's not about choosing one over the other.
It's about finding that sweet spot where they work together.
Finding that synergy.
Exactly. And remembering that language is really about connection, understanding, and empathy.
Beautifully put. It's about breaking down barriers and building bridges between people from different cultures.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot.
I have.
The essay's main points, some practical strategies for integrating technology and human interaction, and even looked at some real-world examples.
It's been a good overview.
But what about the future?
Yeah. Where do we go from here?
What are some of the big trends and technologies that could shape how we learn languages in the future?
That's the big question, right? And the essay actually touches on that in its last section.
Oh, cool. What does it say?
It paints a picture of a future where language learning is even more personalized, immersive, and accessible than it is today.
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Well, one area that's really exciting is AI-powered virtual reality.
VR?
Yeah, but it goes way beyond just simple language practice.
Oh, wow. Like what?
Imagine stepping into a virtual world where you can interact with AI characters who speak the language fluently, and they have their own personalities, and even exhibit cultural nuances in how they behave.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
It's like being in a video game. But you're learning a language without even realizing it.
That's so cool.
And these AI characters could be really advanced, you know?
Yeah.
They could adapt to your learning style, your pace, even your emotional state.
That's wild.
They could give you feedback on your pronunciation, your grammar, even your cultural sensitivity. It would be like having a personal language tutor and cultural guide all in one.
That's mind-blowing. It's like the virtual world and the real world are becoming one.
In a way they are. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. If we use it thoughtfully, VR could be amazing for language learning and cultural exchange.
I can see that, especially for people who can't travel or interact with native speakers in person.
Exactly. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
It could make learning a language so much more fun.
Right. Imagine attending a virtual concert in another country.
Oh, wow.
Or taking a virtual cooking class.
That'd be awesome.
Or even having a virtual coffee date with a native speaker, all while improving your language skills.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are. But even with all these advancements, it's important to remember that human connection is still at the heart of language learning.
I agree. We can't forget that.
It's through conversations, sharing stories, experiencing culture firsthand that we really make a language our own.
Absolutely. Technology can help, but it can't replace that human element.
It's about finding that balance, that synergy between the two.
Well said. And I think that's a great place to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
But there's still more to explore.
Definitely. We'll be back for part 3,
where we'll dive even deeper into the world of language learning and technology.
See you there.
Okay, so we're back for the last part of our deep dive into technology and language learning.
It's been a fascinating journey so far.
It really has. We've talked about all the amazing ways technology is changing the game.
Yeah, like those AI-powered apps and virtual reality experiences.
Right. But we've also talked about why keeping that human connection is so important.
Absolutely. Technology is a tool, but it can't replace real human interaction.
And like with any powerful new technology, there are always questions about the ethics of it all.
Oh, for sure. Especially when we're talking about something as personal as language and communication.
Exactly. Language is so closely tied to our identity, our culture, how we see the world.
You're right. It's a fundamental part of who we are.
So where do we even begin to unpack the ethics of all this?
Well, the essay we've been discussing does bring up some important concerns.
Okay, like what?
One of the biggest issues is bias.
Bias.
In AI. Yeah, AI systems learn from the data they're given.
Okay.
And if that data contains biases, the AI can end up perpetuating and even amplifying those biases.
So how does that play out in language learning?
Well, imagine an AI tutor that's been trained on a data set of mostly American English speakers.
Okay.
It might flag certain pronunciations or grammatical structures that are common in other varieties of English as incorrect.
Even though they're perfectly valid in their own context.
Exactly.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about mastering the technical aspects of the language.
No, it's not.
It's about understanding and respecting the diversity within that language.
And that's where the human element is so crucial.
Because human teachers can bring cultural awareness and sensitivity to the learning process.
In a way that AI just can't, at least not yet.
Right. It seems like being aware of this potential for bias is the first step towards addressing it.
Definitely. We need to be critical thinkers and ask ourselves, where did this AI learn from? Could its responses be influenced by biases?
We can't just blindly trust any technology.
Exactly. We need to use it thoughtfully and critically.
Another thing the essay mentions is data privacy.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
A lot of these language learning apps collect a ton of personal information.
Voice recordings, writing samples, learning habits progress. It's a lot of data.
And that raises questions about how that data is being used.
Exactly. Who has access to it? How is it being stored? These are important questions.
It's crucial for developers to be transparent about their data collection practices and to put user privacy first.
I agree. Transparency is key.
And as users, we also have a responsibility to be informed.
Definitely. We need to read those privacy policies and make conscious choices about what data we're sharing.
We have to be active participants, not just passive consumers.
We need to advocate for ourselves and our privacy.
Okay, so we've talked about bias and data privacy. Are there any other ethical considerations we should be thinking about?
Well, the essay also talks about the potential for AI to make existing inequalities in education even worse.
I see what you mean. Like if the best language learning tools are only available to people who can afford them.
Exactly. It's crucial that as we develop these technologies, we make sure they're accessible to everyone,
regardless of their background or where they live.
Equity and accessibility should be top priorities.
It's almost like we need a set of ethical guidelines for developing and using AI in language learning.
I think that's a great idea. A framework to ensure these technologies are used responsibly and for the benefit of all learners.
And it's encouraging to know that there are already some groups working on creating those guidelines.
There are. Some organizations are developing ethical frameworks for AI in education with a focus on language learning.
That's great to hear.
These frameworks address issues like biased data, privacy accessibility, and the importance of human oversight.
It's good to know that people are thinking about these issues and working towards solutions.
It's definitely a work in progress, but it's an important conversation to be having.
Okay, so to wrap things up, we've explored the incredible potential of technology in language learning.
But we've also talked about the importance of addressing the ethical challenges.
We've emphasized the need for balance, for integrating technology with human interaction and cultural understanding.
And we've highlighted the importance of being informed users and advocating for responsible development and use of these tools.
For me, the biggest takeaway is that language learning is about connection.
It's about building bridges between cultures and fostering understanding.
It's about expanding our horizons and seeing the world through different lenses.
And as we move forward, let's remember to keep that sense of connection at the heart of everything we do.
Technology can be an amazing tool.
It can open up new worlds and possibilities.
But it's the human spark, that desire to connect, that truly makes language come alive.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
It's been an incredible journey.
I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. Thanks for sharing your expertise and insights.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep learning.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.